Hello, welcome to my channel and thanks for checking out this video. My name's Alex and the topic of my short video today is the Holographic Universe, a rather intriguing idea that I wanted to share with you guys just because I think it's really interesting. Now, this is a book called The Holographic Universe by a writer named Michael Talbot, and it came out in the early 90s. However, I still think it's a relevant theory, and Eric Talbot himself is just a writer, but the theory or the Holographic Universe came from two guys, David Bohm, who was a protege of Einstein, and a neurophysiologist named Karl Pribram, who worked on the brain. One was a physicist, one was a physiologist who worked on the brain. And independently, they came up with holographic models for how the body and the mind could work. And then when they discovered each other, they synthesized their ideas into a greater conceptualized idea, and I think it's really, really intriguing. So it's not exactly the product of fringe scientists either. David Bohm was a protege of Einstein, and they corresponded a lot. There's a lot of famous letters that have been published between the two of them. Karl Pribram was also very respected. And so I just found the idea intriguing because this book, I recommend you getting, this book is just a really interesting book. I like having it in my collection. This book it brought together a lot of points. It taught me what holograms were, and this concept of you can take a piece of a hologram and it actually contains the entire thing within itself. And there's this there's a lot of the one contains the many and the many contains the one kind of metaphors that pop up in antiquity that seem to be very interesting ways of describing holograms when you learn a little bit about holograms. So I thought that was interesting. And David Bohm, he published a lot of papers. He came up with this idea of the implicate and implicate and explicate order. Very interesting idea. I was studying particle physics, and to him, the worst things that, as opposed to the way they teach us in mainstream culture, they taught us when I was growing up about entropy and how the universe just slowly breaks down from complex things to less complex. I don't think that's true at all. I think the universe is kind of teleological. It seems to be something where consciousness is fundamental to it, and the physical world is some kind of information, a digital system or a holographic system that's been evolving within consciousness as consciousness, interacts with itself in fragmented pieces or disassociated pieces. But anyway, this is just something interesting to think about. But I liked it because this book also, the writer talked about how the holographic model could explain a bunch of different stuff. So I talked in other videos about the experiences of near-death experiences. Carl Jung had one, and Plato recounts soldiers having them. And it's a phenomenon that's cross-cultural. So the holographic model, he talks about how that could be used to explain near-death experiences. He was referencing two other books that I then went on and read out of curiosity that were really fascinating. One was Magic and Mystery in Tibet by Alexandra David Neal, a famous book because I'm really into Tibetan Buddhism too. Studying it just fascinates me. And there does seem, according to a lot of writers, there's some really paranormal type stuff that goes on there. And people have gone there and, tried to make sense of what Westerners tried to make sense of what they see. And I just, that book was referenced in Holographic Universe, but then I read it and I just thought it was fascinating, learning about some of the stuff that goes on in Tibet. And also then that book led me to The Physical Phenomenon of Mysticism, which is about Catholic mysticism. And this was written by a Jesuit priest. There are very few things that are actually registered by the Vatican and by, officially, according to the Catholics, as miracles, supernatural type stuff that has happened. And priests that levitate, have stigmata, heal people, stuff like that. Very few, but a handful of them. And I just found it fascinating to see how the Catholic Church deals with certain types of investigating phenomenon and then interpreting certain types of paranormal events. So again, both cultures, from a Catholic, studying Catholicism, their view of these things, and the Tibetan Buddhist view of some of these things, I thought was interesting. The holographic model also referred to a lot of stuff that popped up in ancient Hindu cultures and led me to study some of that stuff too, which I thought was interesting. And then there's also something that the holographic model led me to, which is called Project Stargate, which I recommend you guys Google because that's just really fascinating. That was like a CIA remote viewing kind of program that the CIA was running, either because they were paranoid or insane or just running a psyop, or I don't know, or believed in it. But there's a guy named Skip Atwater, I believe, or it might not have actually been him, but another part of Project Stargate. But one of the members of Project Stargate, which was a branch of the CIA, wrote a document trying to figure out how the phenomenon that they were supposedly dealing with could be possible, and he directly referenced the holographic model and brought up some of the other texts I showed. So that's just really interesting too. I recommend Googling that. So this video is short. I just thought it was cool to share with you guys that one of Einstein's proteges had teamed up with another guy back in the day and produced something called the holographic model of the universe, which I still think today is relevant. There are still proponents of it. It's just one theory of how the mind and brain could work, or how reality could work. But because I'm not a materialist, I think I'm really open to these ideas. I think it's fascinating. I recommend checking out this. And also, if you are at all interested in Buddhism or Tibetan Buddhism, or studying consciousness or stuff like that, this book that I mentioned, Magic and Mystery in Tibet, super fascinating. So recommend that too. If you found this video slightly intriguing or informative or amusing, please hit like and subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.